Welcome to Book Tease. I'm your host, Jamie, and this is the podcast that reminds you that even the mom next door likes her fiction filthy. We are in our MILF Mayhem month. This is the very last book in our MILF Mayhem series. It's been such a fun ride. We've talked about all the different aspects of motherhood, and we've had different books that represented different phases of motherhood, and all of them have been pretty sassy and a lot of fun. I have already released our June theme and the books for June. And you need to go over to the website at bookteasepod.com or hit up one of the socials to get that list, because next month is going to be wild. Next month's theme is murder, but in a cute way. I am so excited. Get ready for morally gray men and women, because we're equal opportunity crazy over here. I cannot wait. Y'all, this is so like my jam. I love a dark romance. I love true crime, and I just think it's so much fun. And some of my favorite aspects of true crime, or what I find the most interesting about it and these types of stories, is kind of getting into the psyche of a serial killer. I like to question, like, is that actually okay? No, it's not okay. I want to question myself. I want to deep think on it, and I can't wait. I cannot wait. It's gonna be fun. So go over to the socials, go over to bookteasepod.com and get your list of books so that you can join in this crazy fun, slightly chaotic book club that we got going here. I can't wait. Did I say I can't wait? Because I can't. All right. As a reminder, this podcast does contain spoilers. I spoil the whole book, and I will be spoiling the book for this week as well. So what is the book for this week? We are covering Mourning by Heather M. Orgeron, and this is a standalone. It's not part of a series. And guess what? This is our second Wyatt in a row. We had Wyatt last week. We have a Wyatt this week. I don't know what it is. It was totally unplanned, but yay for Wyatts, I guess. But first, let's talk about the single mom. Let's talk about the MILF in the scenario. We have Whitney. She is a single mom. Her family owns a small town funeral home, and she has a 6-year-old daughter. Well, I picked this book because it sounded so funny, y'all. Like, I was like, okay, Mourning Wood, but spelled as if you're mourning because they own a funeral home. Don't be caught dead anywhere else is the slogan for their funeral home, which, hello, morbid humor. Again, totally my jam. There are so many little death puns, and I just thought this book was going to be unhinged and hilarious. But we'll get into what I actually thought it was once I was done. Okay, I did not rate this one high. Just gonna go ahead and put that warning out there, because if you read it and you fucking loved it, you might not like what I have to say about it. If you haven't read it, listen to what I have to say and then make your choice if it's something that you still want to get into. There were some good points. I do have good things to say, but I also have some other things to say. What we're starting with here with Whitney, she's the funeral director. So she kind of runs the funeral home. She tried to save some money on the renovation for the chapel in the funeral home and ended up getting scammed. This is small town Louisiana. She thought she could trust these people, and she couldn't. They took the money and then they darted after doing the demo. That sucks, because now she's left with this stripped down chapel, which is not a good look for a funeral home. You need a working chapel for that. So her best friend was like, oh, my husband's cousin just moved back into town, and guess what? He's a carpenter. So why don't I hook you up at a discounted rate with him, and he'll come in and finish the renovation. It'll kind of benefit both of you. You'll get your thing done without putting up too crazy amount extra money, and he'll be able to, get his business word of mouth rolling and get out there, because y'all are a prominent family in this town. So she agrees, and enters Wyatt. He is the cousin of Whitney's best friend's husband, and He's the carpenter that's going to swoop in and do this deal and save the day. Well, in this interesting turn of events, it turns out that Wyatt and Whitney hooked up at her friend's wedding. Makes sense, they were both there. One's the cousin, one's the bestie. But they hook up against a dumpster. They banged against a dumpster out back of the wedding. Sexy. Super hot. Is it? No. No. I don't even want to be by a dumpster, let alone fuck on one. Okay? That's me. I have no shame to those who have decided that that's okay. I am a touch of a germaphobe, and that sounds yuck. It sounds yucky to me to have my back bouncing against a dumpster. But you know what? To each their own, I always say. So she's, of course, prickly and like, I don't want to work with some ex hookup. He didn't meet my daughter. I guess her daughter didn't go to the wedding. I don't know. Some weddings are no kids allowed. They did not mention it. I can't exactly jump in the book and ask. So her daughter just wasn't at the wedding, which I guess was a good thing. So she doesn't want anything to do with him. And her father ends up overhearing their little bicker about the dumpster. And of course, Wyatt's like, yeah, I got some once and you're absolutely gorgeous and I'm intrigued and wants to pursue her. Here's a little backstory about Wyatt. And this is sad, but he lost his entire family, his little sister and both of his parents, in a car accident when he was 9. He was the only survivor. And he was raised by his grandparents, which is one of the reasons he moved back to town, to be by family, his grandparents, his cousin. But he is very squeamish of death. Since doing that, it gives him anxiety because, it's a core memory being in a funeral home with this huge thing that happened to him. And he's hesitant about taking the job, but he's going to do it because one, he wants to get his business going. And two, oh my God, it's Whitney, a past hookup that I'm super interested in hooking up with again. So he kind of just pushes that down, I guess. I don't know. It's brought up every now and then, but he always seems to just get over it. So, question mark. But he decides he's going to stick around and still try to do this job because now it's a challenge to him. And he wants to not just get his business going, but he is super into winning Whitney over. He finds out that she has a little girl, a 6-year-old, and he's instantly intrigued by this 6-year-old because here's the thing about Prissy. They call her Prissy. Her name is Priscilla. Whitney had her when she was still in high school, or she was just graduating high school. She ended up getting pregnant by the rival school's quarterback. I don't know, but he didn't want to continue a relationship or have one. He just ghosted out when he found out she was pregnant because I guess he was also in high school and didn't want a kid. And men can, I guess, ghost out because they don't have to carry the baby and birth the baby. So we won't talk about that. So anyway, Prissy is 6, but she acts like she's like 10, y'all. She quotes these random death facts. She helps her grandpa embalm the bodies. She is like, I'm gonna be a mortician when I grow up, and she's already like grooming for it. Everyone else in the book speaks colloquially, which, I mean, it's Louisiana, so they have everyone talking in this crazy Southern accent and like, ain't gonna do that, but not Prissy. The 6-year-old is the one. I'm like, she still says stuff like that in that vein every now and then, but she will speak intelligently and intellectually, and she's very smart, and she has all of these facts that she's learned on YouTube. I have a 5-year-old, which isn't much. I mean, she's a year younger than Prissy, because Prissy turns 7 in the course of this book. And my daughter is 5 months away from turning 6. So, I mean, it's pretty close there. And my daughter is intelligent. I know every parent says that, but my daughter is really smart. And she doesn't speak to this level. I don't see her learning random facts about death. I just, she didn't read as true to her age. It is what I'm getting at. But I can suspend reality, especially given that Prissy was the best character in the book. I loved her. She is gothy. She marches to the beat of her own drum and she don't give a fuck. Like, I mean, to have that conviction and confidence at 6 years old is astounding. Like, she will go out there and she doesn't care that all of her classmates think she's weird. She does her own thing, and power to her. I absolutely love it. I'll get more into what else I liked about the book, but just know Prissy's my absolute favorite character in the whole story. A good bulk of the book is just little incidences that happen here and there, and I mean, it just goes by without anything huge happening. It's just Wyatt winning over Whitney and also becoming besties with Prissy. That's the whole book. And he wins a date with her by helping her father go pick up a body, or helping her mother. It was her mother go pick up a body. And then he like freaks out because the body makes a settling noise. And he's like, he's alive in the back of the car. I don't know. It was interesting, especially given that he has anxiety about death, but he wins a date and it goes really well. That's like the whole book until 60%. By the time we're 60% into the book, they're already in love. They're in love. They're together. Everything's golden. And then the rest of the book, the remaining 40% of the book, is their relationship, them accidentally getting pregnant, them getting married, and then the birth of their son. We even get a scene, like we even get to be in the delivery room with them. And that's the whole book. The actual like romance relationship part is 60% of the book, and then the rest is epilogue essentially. So I'm not going to go play for play because I just told you the entire plot of the book. They fall in love pretty quickly. Her parents are pushing for it because her parents really like Wyatt, and so I guess they don't want their daughter to be alone. I want to first talk about the things the book did correctly, the things I really, really liked about the book. Here are some things the book did right, in my opinion. Of course, this whole podcast is just my opinion. Y'all may read it and absolutely love this book and think, Jamie, you're just being a bitch, which is totally understandable. I mean, I can be. I'm fully capable of bitchiness. So it could just be that, and maybe it just didn't hit right to me, and that's okay. We all have our own opinions. This is mine. So, like I said, Whitney had Prissy very, very young in high school. And it was just the two of them, with her parents helping. And their relationship is so special and so sweet. And I teared up a few times. When the way they showed their relationship was just a beautiful mother-daughter. You believed that they are the only two that have been together, that they are super special to each other for that reason. And that I loved. I loved their relationship. I loved that she just keeps it real with Prissy. She lets her just be herself. She fully supports her. She talks to her like an adult. I don't really like she lets the 6-year-old just cuss freely and embalm dead bodies and collect glass eyeballs. I find that a little questionable. But since those are the things that make Prissy so happy, it's, you know, your own child and you want to encourage them to be themselves and love themselves and be individuals. So, and that I feel like she really did well. So I'm not here to judge her parenting style, but I can't say I would let my 5-year-old just cuss and run amok. because they show their relationship so beautifully, mother and daughter, Prissy is never forgotten in the romance aspect with, it's really front and center with Wyatt. Wyatt knows from the start they are a package deal, and there is never a moment where he forgets that. He always includes Prissy with pretty much everything, the big decisions. He courts her just as much as he courts Whitney. He learns her and her quirks. He also supports her in just being herself. He really steps up as being that stepfather figure and then that father figure, because he does propose to her when he proposes to Whitney. But he proposes to her and says, I want you to have my last name. He essentially wants to adopt her, which is a beautiful thing. As someone who has been adopted, I was not raised by my biological dad. My biological dad stayed in my life, but he did not raise me. And my stepdad, my mom's second marriage, raised me and was my daddy and still is my daddy. And he adopted me so that I would have his last name. And so that really hit me on a personal level. And I loved that aspect of this book. And I just thought that was so sweet. The fact that Wyatt keeps Prissy so prevalent in the relationship, in the courting, in the storyline, and he develops a relationship with her as well as with Whitney, and they're both equally important to him. So that I thought was perfect. I thought that was beautiful. That scene where he brings her to the school dance, there's a daddy-daughter dance, and she always goes with her grandpa, and that's one of the things her classmates ridicule her about, is you're always with the old guy, which is really fucking rude. And one of the fathers at the dance even giggles at his daughter being a bully, which I question your parenting, sir, way more than I question the fact that Prissy cusses and embalms dead bodies. Like, how dare you allow your child to be the mean girl? You are not embarrassed by that at all? I love that Wyatt stepped up in the most beautiful way there. She asked him, hey, can you bring me to this daddy-daughter dance just because, be my date. I know you're not my dad, but you could be my fake dad for this. I want someone other than my grandpa to bring me. And he takes it seriously. He wears a suit, but he also includes combat boots and a leather jacket so that they match, which is so sweet. And he brings her flowers and he picks her up on the date and he brings her out and he dances he learns how to dance some of the stanky leg and the nay-nay. Brought me back. I remember those dances from back in the day. So yeah, it was so sweet. He did like a little home YouTube tutorial thing to learn how to do these dances so he wouldn't embarrass her. And he danced with her the whole night. And it was just the best night ever for her. And it was so, so sweet. It was so sweet. That scene really got me. I was like, oh, okay, Wyatt, good job. That's what the book did right. There were also some really funny moments, which I was expecting. I was expecting this to be a rom-com. There was a good chunk of it that, yes, it was rom-com throughout, but some of it was just, to me, on the ridiculous side instead of being funny. It just seemed ridiculous. Picking up the body with the mom and just freaking out was funny. But they pick on him about it. Like, his whole family died in a car accident. That he is feeling anxious and he's only doing it because he's trying to win a date with you, Whitney. So you're picking on him because he doesn't know that bodies settle and make noises and release gas and groan. And he doesn't know that. I don't know that. I'd probably freak out too if I'm helping you pick up a body and it starts making noise in the back seat. Like, I'm going to feel some type of way about it. So I understand. It's still made for kind of a funny moment. There's a lot of interesting moments with the funeral home, period. Like, it really depicted it in a realistic way, that it had a lot of sad parts. There was a child death that they had to plan a funeral for, which just shattered my heart. God, that was hard. That was hard. Yeah, the baby drowned in a swimming pool. And so Wyatt helps Whitney with that funeral and then immediately puts Prissy into swimming lessons, which I thought was a sweet reaction. Like he immediately was like, we need to make sure she's protected because I want you to move in with me eventually. And my property backs up to a lake that I'm wanting to swim in and play in and fish in. And I want her to be safe. I don't want her drowning in this lake. I would never forgive myself. So I thought that was really sweet. And then there's a weird moment where one of the clients that comes in wants her husband buried with his babies, and his babies end up being these two stuffed like little dogs that are taxidermied, and they want these dogs to be up at the funeral and then buried with the man. I don't know. There was some just interesting moments, okay? There were like sad ones, but also some that I was just like, this is ridiculous. What is this town? Here's another weird thing. I mentioned she gets accidentally pregnant. Well, they go for New Year's, they go to New Orleans, just the two of them. And it's a New Year's Eve party or whatever, and they get completely wasted. And they stumble home to the hotel, and they stumble in there and they have drunken sex, and then he falls asleep while he's still inside of her, and then the condom gets stuck inside of her, and then they're like, he fishes it out. He's like, oh, the semen's still in there, we're good. And like he's all talking about he might have to bring her to the hospital if she doesn't. I'm like, you don't have to go to the hospital for it, will work its way out. But whatever. I mean, I can see how you have a panic moment. But she ends up pregnant from that. And then she keeps saying stuff like her vagina gobbled it up like a Venus flytrap. I don't know. This is what I'm talking about. This is ridiculous language. Again, more ridiculous than funny to me, but I could relax and see the humor in that. I knew she was going to get pregnant. I just knew, because why else would that even take place? Okay, let's go ahead, since I keep skewing towards this way. Let's go ahead and talk about the things I wasn't fond of. Like I said, this book is set in small town Louisiana. The language was so annoying. I'm supposed to believe that Whitney is this hoity-toity, put-together businesswoman wearing pencil skirts and stilettos, but she's running around talking like a hick. Like, there's no other way to put it. She's, now you go on and get over here. You go on and do that. And like, I ain't saying that. I'm like, excuse me? Like, everyone in this town sounds like that. What is this town? They go line dancing, and that's supposed to be a super romantic date, and she's like, I'm cutting a rug. I don't know. And also, again, small town Louisiana. This town is so conservative. This book was so conservative, where the men are the men and the women need to be the women. Her best friend is a stay-at-home mom, and she takes pride into doing a full face of makeup and dressing nice every single day, even though she has a baby, and making sure her man's dinner's on the table at a certain time. And being as I am from Southeast Texas, small town Southeast Texas, which is on the border of Louisiana, this is very factual. This is true. I didn't like it when I lived in Southeast Texas, and I don't have to like it when I read the book. Okay? I don't have to like it. But I make no secret of the fact that I'm a feminist. So them talking about, this hyper masculinity, the conservative views on pregnancy outside of marriage, the don't be a pansy, don't be a pussy, I won't take your man card, and just be a pretty girl and be quiet. Like, that stuff grated on my nerves. And it was throughout the whole book. Him automatically saying, I'm giving you my last name, or you're going to move in with me because I'm the man. Like, don't you dare touch that door. Like, we all know how I feel about that. Like, if I'm already in the process of getting out, I'm not closing the door so you can come around. You can miss me with that. That's annoying to me. I want to go ahead and get to ratings. I'm rating this 2.5 stars. I really love the depiction of motherhood in this book, but I didn't really care for the colloquial language, the overly conservative viewpoints, the fact that the romance part was sped through. It was over almost halfway through the book. Like, they're together halfway through the book, but they're saying I love you by 60%. I checked, and it was 60%. My Kindle said so. And then the rest is just epilogue stuff that we got to read through. Yeah, there's a lot I didn't really care for. But I really love the depictions of motherhood. I really loved that the relationship with the daughter was just as important as the relationship with the mother. I thought that was handled beautifully. And so I'm giving it a 2.5, which is like right there in the middle. You know what I mean? We're keeping it perfectly average for this book. I wouldn't read it again, but I liked some parts of it. The spice is only like a 2.5 at the most. It wasn't spicy. They have sex. Some of it's awkward. A lot of it, they're drunk during. Like half the time they're having sex, they're drunk. And, I mean, they say words, like they use vulgar words, but there's nothing but vanilla really going on. There's some blowjobs and then there's just some sex. I mean, there's nothing like super spicy happening. If they didn't use explicit language during it, I would have very comfortably gave it just a 2 and landed there, because it wasn't closed door. Stuff happened, but it wasn't anything like kinky or really super spicy or, you know. So I think a 2.5 is where I'm going to land. So we're perfectly average with both ratings there. Okay, with that, we're going to move on to quotes. And for the quotes, I'm going to include quotes that back up some of the things I liked and didn't like, but then I'm also going to just include some good quotes. So I have a lot of quotes. We're going to go through quite a few. All right, this is Wyatt and his hypermasculinity. This is showing the conservative views of the men being the men. And you already know how I feel about this before I even read it. Okay, this is Wyatt. Get your fingers off that handle, he orders when I reach to open my own door. My Mimi didn't raise no millennial. The fuck are you talking about? Your Mimi didn't... His Mimi's his grandma. P.S., by the way. He calls her his Mimi. But they say this multiple times about a millennial, like a millennial is some cutting, decorating thing to be. Whether or not you're millennial, I'm sorry, hate to tell you why, it goes by what year you were born. That's what that is. That's what the generational names are. It's just what year you were born. So it doesn't matter how your Mimi raised you. If you were born from like 1983 to a certain age, you're a fucking millennial, whether you like it or not. And since you're doing the stanky leg at like 29, you're probably a millennial, whether you like it or not. So that was weird. That was a weird thing that kept popping up in the book. This is Prissy. Let me just read the quote. This is Prissy. Mr. Wilts finally dropped dead this morning and Pa went to scoop him up. This is apparently about a family friend that her Pa, which is her pawpaw, is actually really sad about. It was like, this is Thanksgiving. They're celebrating Thanksgiving, or they're about to, and he gets a call that morning and he has to go pick up his good family friend. So her grandpa's actually really sad about it, and everyone's being like, you know, like, oh, it's a good reminder that we are people and we, you know, we can mourn too. And he, you know, they're being kind. But then when Wyatt gets there and asks, hey, where's Hank? I think his name is. This is what Prissy says. Like, suddenly you're that callous. Are you a sociopath, Prissy? Like, you have feelings, girl. Like, and you're sick. So I would just expect a little more empathy from the 6-year-old little granddaughter for her grandpa, who's apparently one of her best friends. So that was weird. And this is Wyatt, just to show you how strange language is. I can't get into this. Like, if a man's saying this, I can't get into it, okay? If I were any less depressed, I'd fart glittery rainbows. Well, aren't you just the sexiest? We wouldn't want you farting rainbows, so I guess keep that little tiny level of depression. What are you talking about, sir? And I'm supposed to believe this glittery farting dude here has residual like anxiety and sadness from losing his entire family enough so that he feels awkward at first about being in a funeral home. Here's another thing to show the conservativeness of it all. This is Whitney talking to Wyatt. This is after they're already together 50% of the way through the book. I vow to never steal your man card like that, babe. I eye our friend, shaking my head in disgust. And this is because Wyatt's, this is Christmas time when this happens. And this is because Wyatt's cousin, her best friend's husband, chooses not to cuss in front of the children. He says something other than a cuss word, which we all know can be ridiculous. Sometimes I say shiitake mushrooms in front of my daughter instead of saying shit, because that's appropriate to do as a mother, right? You're not trying to teach your children to cuss at a young age. I get that she doesn't believe that. She lets Prissy just run her mouth, but you have to teach your children to play the games of society at least a little bit to be socially acceptable. I mean, at least a little bit. They don't have to totally conform. In fact, I'm happy if they don't, but they have to know how to at least be appropriate in society, which I'm not 100% believing that she is teaching Prissy to do, though I'm not trying to mom shame her at all. Still, don't shame your friends for not wanting to cuss in front of their children. This is another thing with Prissy not being appropriate. Like, she just randomly says her mom's already pregnant at this point. This is past the 60% mark. So this is in the epilogue section of the book is what I'm calling it, the last 40%. But Prissy seems to just randomly pop off to Wyatt. When are you going to marry my mama? It's time to shit or get off the pot, dude. Madam, you are 6. You do not talk to an adult that way. I don't care if you look at him as a father figure. That's not appropriate to do. You should not be doing that. It is weird that they have the 6-year-old doing that. This is Wyatt. I was gonna have to fuck the hoity-toity out of your uptight ass. Wow, that's so romantic. And this is after they're already together. Again, this is in the epilogue section of the book, the last 40%, but he's talking about how put together she was and apparently hoity-toity, which I did not read anything she did as hoity-toity other than the fact that she's wearing a pencil skirt and stiletto heels to do her job. Maybe in this town she's hoity-toity. I have no idea. Also, the term hoity-toity is ridiculous, but you know what? I'm rolling with it. Here's a quote of something I did like. This is Whitney. To feel like an actual person, like a woman, not just a mom. Y'all, haven't we all felt that as a mom? Not even just romantically, but like to feel like something other than a mom by going to get our hair done or taking the time to go get a coffee by ourselves. Maybe go to the movie alone. To literally do anything other than wipe a booty or clean up some sort of mess, or all the things that go along with motherhood. Parenting, teaching, shaping another individual is hard work. It is all consuming, and it is so easy to lose your identity too. I know I am a totally different person now than I was before parenthood. And sometimes I don't recognize myself and I have to get back to, hey, I am a woman. I am a person. That's one of the reasons I started doing this podcast, so I can just have something for myself. So even if I'm just like talking out in the void and no one even ever listens to this podcast or watches my YouTube videos, it's okay, because this is the thing that I do just for me. So I feel like something other than a mom, something other than a wife, something other than a small business owner. Like I want to just do something fun that I'm doing for myself that isn't being asked of me from someone else. And we all need that. We need something just for us, some sort of creative outlet, even if it's just, this is a show I like to watch just by myself in bed. Or, you know what, at the end of every day, I like to just drink a cup of tea alone in my room. I mean, like whatever makes you happy and makes you feel like a full person, embrace it. I'm having a blast reading romance novels and just talking about them. This is my thing that no one else asked me to do. Literally no one asked me to do this. I just do it for myself because I find enjoyment for it or from it. And so I really felt Whitney with that. She is like, this relationship is making me feel like a woman, making me feel like something other than a mom. And I loved that. I understood it 1000%, and I was happy for her to have that. This one was really, really sweet. And this is a relationship between Prissy and Whitney. And this is when she's putting her to bed after she gets back from the daddy-daughter dance. And this one just like, it hit me in the feels. Prissy says, Mama, yeah, baby? You think he likes us? I know he does. No, I mean likes us. I'm not sure what you were asking. I mean, enough to be your boyfriend? How sweet. And even in this, it's likes us, wants us. Prissy knows her value. She knows that she is a package deal with Whitney. She fully knows that her mama's not going to just go off and find some dude and leave her behind and not care what she thinks. They do an excellent job of including Prissy in this relationship. Both of them make her feel valued. And absolutely my favorite part of the book. And here's Wyatt saying something good. we like this quote from Wyatt. Let me love you, Whitney, without restraint, the way you deserve, the way you both deserve. And I'll say it one more time, how they handled the relationship between all three of them really bumped this book up and saved it for me. And I really like that. So I want to say it's really interesting. We are ending MILF Mayhem month with an actual birth. An actual birth was one of the last scenes in the book where there is blood. She was talking about pushing out placenta. She's talking about afterbirth. She's talking about, he's got to hold her leg up and push that baby out. I mean, we are full blown up in the momminess of it all with a birth. And her daughter is assisting her with the birth, like I said. I mean, what a way to end MILF Mayhem, y'all. With that, I'm going to go into casting. For Whitney, I'm going Kelly Goss. She's in a ton of TV shows. She was in The Ranch, The Young and the Restless, Big Time Rush. I believe she was either a Disney or a Nickelodeon star, like a kid star, and she's grown up. She's gorgeous. She's got that like tall, pretty blonde with the dimple, big blue eyes. Like she's got the perfect look for Whitney. See? We see her right there on the cover of the book. Whitney is a tall, leggy blonde, fit B cup, if you're interested to know. And yeah, she's got a dimple. He always talks about her pretty blue eyes. And Kelly Goss also has that like Southern girl charm that Whitney totally embodies. And for Wyatt, y'all, I'm going back and I'm going Ryan Quanten, and I'm going Ryan Quanten specifically in his True Blood era as Jason. Because I cannot think of a more perfect person to play Wyatt than Jason Stackhouse from True Blood. And the way he likes to just have that flirty, small town Louisiana boy thing with, he's, built, nice muscles, likes to crack jokes and just be goofy. All of that is Wyatt. And I think Jason Stackhouse is the perfect blueprint for Wyatt. I mean, I cannot think of it. I know that Ryan Quanten has gotten older. He doesn't look like he did when he played Jason Stackhouse, but I do not care. I don't really want to lobby for this book to be made into a movie. I just don't. So I'm enjoying in my head the fact that he is Jason Stackhouse. And with that, we're coming to a close. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time, stay spicy.
And that's it for this episode of Book Tease. Book and theme reveals and episode commentary can be found at TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook at Book Tease Pod. Theme music is by The Scraps, and until next time, stay spicy.